Is Rafael Devers straight up being selfish by refusing to move to first base? All of that and more on today's Locked On Red Sox.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby Maljanian, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I am here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And it's completely free, so you might as well continue to tune in because Locked On is your team every single day. This episode is brought to you by the Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Turn any TV into your Xbox. No console needed. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to learn more. Happy Friday. Welcome to the show. I will tell you a little bit more about the Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K a little bit later on the show, but end of the week, congratulations on making it, and congratulations to the Red Sox on pulling off a good series win against the Texas Rangers. Things were looking very bleak after the first game of the series when the team took a 6-1 loss, and it was upsetting because they had given up 6 runs to a team that has really been struggling to score runs this year. And Lucas Giolito was on the mound, and he struggled. And hopefully he can turn that around, but he definitely needs to work on getting his velocity up a little bit more or rely on more than 2 pitches. Because if he fixes one of those 2 things, he'll be more competitive. It's just hard to sustain success if you're relying on 2 pitches and your velocity also isn't as high as it should be. So that was my biggest takeaway from the first game of the series. And then you have guys offensively like Wilyer Abreu and Alex Bregman, both of which really stepped up in game 2. And then in game 3, Cedar Rafaela had a good game, 2 hits and made a really nice play in the outfield, made a catch that robbed a home run to the deepest part of Fenway, or at least an extra base hit, but looked like it was heading to being a home run. So the thing with Cedar Rafaela is that he is more valuable to this Red Sox team than people give him credit for. There's a lot of things in his game that he can do to contribute. Yes, the offense isn't quite where it should be, but hopefully he's turning the tide a little bit with his bat. But even so, if you think about his speed and the defense he provides, he is a really versatile player. And he's somebody who can just provide a lot of value because of that. So the Red Sox earned a 5-0 shutout win on Thursday to complete this series win. But after the series was over, there became more drama with Rafael Devers. So he was talking to the media after Thursday's game and basically talked about how the front office approached him about playing first base, because obviously now with Tristan Casas being out for the rest of the season, the Red Sox need to find a replacement at first base. So they approached Devers and asked him if he would be that guy to step up and play first, because they've been going with Romy Gonzalez and Abraham Toro, but I don't think they see that as a long-term solution. I think they see that as more a short-term thing, and that they'll get somebody who will play first base more consistently throughout the rest of the season. But Devers told reporters that he is straight up not willing to play first base and that he was upset by the Red Sox request to have him play there. He said that they did speak to him about it after Tristan Casas' injury. And what he basically said was that the front office doesn't stay true to their word. He said, quote for quote, "Yeah, I don't think they stayed true to their word. They told me I was going to be playing this position, DH, and now they are going back on that. So yeah, I don't think they stay true to their word." Basically saying, like, why is the front office asking me to play this position when they already had taken me out of the field previously and said that I was playing DH? He said, "They put me in this situation. They told me that they didn't want to allow me to play any other position. And now I think they should do their jobs essentially and hit the market and look for another player." Basically saying, no, I'm not playing there. They need to go trade for a first baseman or something in order to get that durability at that position without Casas there. So he said, I'm not sure why they want me to be in between the way they have me now. And he acknowledged that his relationship with his teammates is great. He's just not happy with the front office because he feels like they went back on their word in spring training. He said, I don't understand some of the decisions that the GM makes. Next thing you know, someone in the outfield gets hurt and they want me to play in the outfield. He mentioned Craig Breslow also. He went on to say, I'm not certain what issue he has with me. He played ball, and I would like to think that he knows that changing positions like that isn't easy. He said it's not the right time for him to switch positions after they told him that they essentially didn't want him to play in the field before and just wanted him to DH. So he's basically calling out the front office and saying they're not doing their job. They keep switching things up. So I shouldn't be expected to move positions again now that I've gotten used to DHing. So he said straight up, I know I'm a ball player, but at the same time, they can't expect me to play every single position out there. In spring training, they talked to me and basically told me to put away my glove, that I wasn't going to play any other position but DH. So right now, I just feel like it's an inappropriate decision by them to ask me to play another position. He said essentially that he's just very frustrated with the front office. But I mean, his relationship with his teammates is really good, but it's hard to believe that this won't be perceived in some sort of negative way by his teammates because they might see it as him being a little bit selfish, not wanting to play first base and refusing to do what the Red Sox feel is best for the team. Now, I talked about this on the show the other day, and I personally don't think it's a good idea to move Devers to first. I just think there's a lot of things to think about when it comes to logistically how that could work. Switching positions like that is very difficult for a player. And if I'm Devers, I'm looking at the situation and saying, hey, like, how am I supposed to seamlessly make that adjustment defensively? And with the Red Sox, they already weren't confident enough in his defense at third base. And Alex Bregman was a necessary move to improve this team. He is a better defender, and his bat has made a huge impact in this Red Sox lineup. So it was kind of a necessary move that needed to be made. But if the Red Sox didn't feel confident enough in Devers' abilities defensively at third, why do they feel like he'll be able to seamlessly make that transition to first? And maybe they do know that it could cause some challenges for him having to adapt to that, and it could cause some challenges for him of learning the ropes of switching from third base to first base with playing DH in between. Maybe they are aware of all of that, but they don't feel like they have another choice. They don't feel like they have any better options than they do him. And so they're in a spot now where they're like, well, it might be difficult for him, but we want to move him. And I just feel like it will create a lot of difficulty. I'd rather they stick with Romy and stick with Abraham Toro instead, guys who have experience playing first base, and keep Devers in the DH role now that he is finally learning how to DH. But when it comes to the front office, I'm definitely not defending them. I think they've handled this Devers situation very poorly, making promises that they shouldn't be making, and then leaving him completely blindsided in spring training when they basically brought up the fact that with Alex Bregman here, they want him to play third base and have Devers DH. So blindsiding him like that, I don't think is cool at all. And I don't think Devers expected that at all. I think from the standpoint of where he was at, he thought he was a third baseman because that was what he had been told previously earlier on. So then when the Red Sox said to him, hey, you're not going to do that, you're going to DH, I think he just got so caught off guard. So I don't think they handled that situation well at all. I think they kind of mistreated him in that situation, and they should have let him know a lot earlier that he was going to DH so that he had more time to prepare for it rather than leaving him like that. Or even when they were looking at Bregman before they were even sure if he was going to come to Boston or not, they should have said, just so you know, we are pursuing Alex Bregman, or we are pursuing the third base market. So just be prepared. We would love for you to be our designated hitter. You could turn into the next David Ortiz as a DH, but that's where we stand. And at least if Devers knew where the Red Sox stand, then he would have had time to prepare for the adjustment. And I think the point he is trying to make is that the Red Sox are not people he can trust with their word, because first they had told him earlier on in his career that he was a third baseman. Now they tell him, you are our DH, hang up your glove, you're not playing in the field. So now Casas goes down with an injury, and now they're like, all right, we don't have a choice. Let's put Devers back into the field. I mean, in what world did anybody think he was going to be happy with that? To defend the front office on it, obviously they're backed into a corner right now because nobody would have known or expected Casas to experience this type of injury where he's going to be sidelined the rest of the season. So they're kind of trying to go over all the options and decide what makes sense for them. And it really does come across like Devers isn't being a good teammate, because while I do get that he's frustrated with the front office and the way that they handled this situation, I would be too. He has the chance now to kind of right the ship and make him look like this big team first guy. And so far, he's not doing that. Based on what he is saying about the situation and what he's been saying about not wanting to play first and straight up refusing, that's not a good way to win the support of the fan base, the front office, or your teammates. You are the guy that they are paying a lot of money to, and they're building a team around you. So it is a little bit of a slap in the face to the front office to not really show appreciation for that and be like, well, I'm not playing first. And again, I understand completely that there's frustration there. I see both sides of it. I do think Devers is coming across like he's a little bit selfish in this situation. If him moving to first base is what the Red Sox feel is the best option, I think they're just trying to do what's best for the team. I don't know that it would go well necessarily, but I do feel like if that's really what the Red Sox want, he needs to be a little bit more flexible and adaptable. So basically, he shut down the entire front office and basically said no, and then expressed his frustration to the media by saying they don't stay true to their word. So who knows what's going to happen in the clubhouse now with those kinds of vibes, but there's no way his teammates see this as kind of a good look on him. So hopefully it doesn't cause too many problems to where it ruins their chemistry for the rest of the season. Hopefully they're able to continue to do what they do. And hopefully they're able to continue to win baseball games, because that is what they're all here for. And I feel like if I am Devers, I am sucking it up. And I'm saying, look, like this might be a hard transition for me, but it is what it is. This is what's best for my baseball team right now. So I have to go and do what's best for them. And that's not exactly what he's doing. And that can be perceived in a couple different ways. I think his stance on the front office is totally valid. I think they completely dropped the ball on this, and they did not treat Devers well or show enough appreciation for the player that he is. But on the flip side of that, he also needs to start being a little bit flexible. So obviously lots of tension between the front office and Devers. I would not be surprised if, Devers ends up getting too frustrated with it and just doesn't want to be part of the Red Sox organization anymore, which would be super upsetting. But that's obviously a conversation for another day if that does happen. Coming up, though, I'm going to be talking about some good things that are going on with the Red Sox right now. So that's coming up next. Let's be real. Coffee isn't just a drink. It's a ritual, a lifeline, the thing that gets you from half asleep to fully functioning. And if it's that essential, why settle for anything less than amazing? That's where Trade Coffee comes in. Trade is the #1 coffee destination in the U.S., delivering fresh, incredible coffee from over 50 of the country's top roasters. Whether you're a cold brew fan or a pour-over purist, they've got a roast you'll love. I took Trade's quiz. It only took a minute, and the first bag they sent me was spot on. The coffee was fresh, smelled amazing, and honestly, it ruined grocery store coffee for me in the best way. Right now, Trade is exclusively offering our customers 50% off your 1-month trial at drinktrade.com/lockedonmlb. That's TRADE.com/lockedonmlb for 50% off your 1-month trial. Drinktrade.com/lockedonmlb. We know how much people need their coffee, so 100% make sure that you purchase some because it is delicious. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub when Fire TV Stick 4K devices, no console required, are in your possession. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe, or sign in to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles, from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Avowed, as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. With Wi-Fi 6/6E and auto low latency mode advanced technology, Fire TV Stick 4K delivers smoother, more responsive gameplay with lightning fast speeds you need to stay competitive. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd Gen. If you're a gamer, I hope you paid attention to all of that, because this will really change your life and benefit you in so many different ways. So make sure that you take advantage of that, because then your gaming experience will just be a lot better. Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On. So while Rafael Devers sits here and refuses to play first base for the Boston Red Sox, even though the Red Sox might feel like it's the best thing for them to do, there are some other players who are showing upward mobility with this Red Sox team. And one of those players is Hendriks, who came out in his first outing off of the injured list on April 20th versus the White Sox, and he threw 1 inning, giving up 3 hits and 2 earned runs. He did give up a home run in that contest and recorded 1 strikeout. That was his first outing in a Boston Red Sox uniform and first major league outing since before he got injured, and since 2023. So he hadn't pitched in a long time, and he struggled. He was getting hit hard, and he gave up a couple runs. And, I said, let's give him some more time, see how he adjusts, and see how he's able to make it work moving forward once he kind of gets his bearings again and he's able to figure out, okay, this is what works for me, essentially, and this is what doesn't. So he has figured that part out for sure so far. His second outing was on April 22nd versus the Mariners. He also threw 1 inning and he gave up 0 earned runs, but he did give up a couple hard hit balls deep to the outfield. So I said, all right, I still wouldn't put him in high leverage situations because he is still getting hit pretty hard. So I don't want him to get absolutely destroyed in high leverage. But he did throw in yesterday's game against the Rangers. He went 2 innings and gave up no runs. He looked very solid. And the biggest thing that I've noticed about him is that he's really locked in on focusing on the pitches that he throws well. His ERA has jumped from a 3 to a 2.25 over this past week. And it has gone from a 9 ERA on April 22nd to now that 2.25 ERA now. So he's pitching a lot cleaner. And the biggest thing is that he is relying on 3 pitches, essentially, primarily to use his 4-seamer, his slider, and his curveball. He's using the 4-seamer a lot, 54.5% of the time. And the slider, he's using about 31.3% of the time, and the curveball, 14.1% of the time. So he's primarily using the 4-seamer and the slider. Definitely would like to see him still mix the curveball in there a little bit more. But in terms of, some of his metrics and what we've seen from him, there's been a lot of improvement. He needs to get his exit velocity and chase percentage up a little bit more. He's poor in percentile and chase percentage at just 26.2%. So that really puts his off-speed stuff into question a little bit, because guys aren't really swinging at pitches outside the zone. So he needs to work on those spots a little bit. But his command has definitely been there. And he's been a guy who the Red Sox have been able to rely on over his last few outings. Versus left-handed batters, he does struggle a lot more than versus righties. Lefties are hitting 333 off of him, whereas righties right now are hitting just 182. So his numbers might be a little skewed depending on what the matchup is and who he is throwing to. So that'll be interesting to see how Cora manages that when they put him into games, is if they decide to start using him in high leverage situations, and there's, 3 lefties coming up to bat in the inning, or say there's even 2, that might not be a scenario in which the Red Sox should be throwing him because of the fact that he struggles more against them. Whereas if it's low leverage and the Red Sox are likely going to win or lose the game based on what the run differential is in that game, then sure, put him in any spot and it's fine. And he didn't come into the game in high leverage yesterday because the Red Sox were winning 5-0. And so the fact that they were able to get him in there in a situation where, the chances were very slim of him giving up 5 runs. I liked that. And I liked that they threw him for 2 innings, kind of get him back into being more than a 1-inning guy. And it really showed the Red Sox that, hey, 2 innings isn't too much of a workload for him at this point. So we can keep that in mind because we could use him as a multi-inning guy out of the pen moving forward. And the biggest reason why this is so important for the Red Sox right now is because their bullpen as a whole has not been getting the job done as well as it should be. Justin Slayton and Garrett Whitlock both have had some recent struggles. When they were pitching most recently, it was a lot of, getting guys on base, both of whom have pitched in this series against the Rangers and did not give up a Red Sox lead, which was really nice to see. But they just haven't been themselves as much as of late. So they're working on getting back to finding their form and being the pitchers that we know they are. Aroldis Chapman has been solid. He's been getting the job done out of typically the closing spot. But then it's everybody else. Then there's that middle relief group in which the Red Sox have some struggles with right now. And if Hendriks is able to figure things out and can be used in high leverage, that's going to be huge for this Red Sox pen because you can't really point to a ton of players and say that you trust them in high leverage spots. And Slayton and Whitlock are both guys that I do trust in high leverage, but there are a lot of guys who aren't like that. A lot of guys who can't be trusted because they are not guys who can get it done in those types of situations. And I think if I'm the Red Sox, I want to feel like Liam Hendriks is somebody who can be trusted in those situations. And obviously, we still need to see more. I wouldn't necessarily resort to throwing him in high leverage just yet. I do think he still needs a couple more solid outings before the Red Sox decide, hey, we're going to put him in those types of situations. But he is pitching well on the road, a batting average of 0 when he has pitched on the road. Again, small sample size, just 1 game on the road so far compared to 5 at home. Batting average for opponents of 294 when he's pitching at home. Obviously, something to monitor. Too small a sample size to draw a conclusion about that right now. But it is something to keep in mind is Fenway going to be a struggle for him? Is it going to be a place that he has trouble pitching as much? So on the road, he has an ERA of 0. At home, he has an ERA of 3.60. So pitching at home is when he has been giving up the runs. But I'm definitely not ready to draw any kind of conclusion on that yet. I just think what's interesting about him is that he's been able to get that fastball velo up a little bit. I still would like to see it go up a little bit more, but he was hitting 95 on the fastball in his outing on Thursday. And that's something that I was hoping to see from him as one of the biggest keys to Liam Hendriks succeeding is, okay, what's he going to be able to hit in terms of his fastball velocity? Because that's going to be so important to this Red Sox team. And based on what I saw yesterday from him, I feel more confident now in the Red Sox bullpen ability because it really changes a lot of things. Because then you go from having Justin Slayton, Garrett Whitlock, and Aroldis Chapman that you feel like you trust the most. Now you're adding in a guy in Liam Hendriks who is starting to find his bearing again. And it makes more than sense that he was rusty at first because he hadn't pitched in so long in a Major League Baseball game. But the fact that he's been able to find his footing again is really awesome for the Red Sox because it means that there is a chance that they could have him throw in high leverage. And if that ends up being the case, that's fantastic because then you have a fourth arm that you can go to in those types of situations. And then you have Brennan Bernardino and Greg Weissert, both of which looked solid in the series, but they also have had their struggles this season and have been off and on. And so I don't want Hendriks to be an off and on guy. I want him to be a solid pitcher. And I really like a lot of what I have seen from him. It's interesting looking at some of his stats and figuring out, how he's scattering his pitches, what type of angle his pitches are traveling at. So when he throws the four seam fastball, it travels more towards the third base side. And then when he's throwing the curve, that tends to travel more to the first base side. And then the slider is about in the middle, but still leans more towards the first base side. And that's the style of his pitches and what he is throwing. So it's definitely been interesting to see the way that he's been able to grow overall as a pitcher so far over his last few outings that he has had. His ERA right now is a 2.25 over 7 games that he has pitched in 8 total innings and 6 strikeouts. So obviously not a huge sample size yet, but if he continues to trend in this direction, he will be a reliable reliever for the Red Sox, and that's definitely something that they need. So I'm looking forward to seeing him continue to execute, and hopefully he does, and hopefully he stays healthy, obviously, because that is a huge game changer for the bullpen if he is able to stay healthy and he's able to be a huge part of it. So we'll have to see what happens with him. I really enjoyed watching him pitch yesterday. Definitely continues to show strides, so hopefully he continues in that direction. And coming up, I'm going to be talking about Carlos Narvaez because he has been productive this season. And what does that mean for Connor Wong? The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game, before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. Which players are showing up in the biggest moments? And how could tracking their trends help you build your next bet? What would it look like to combine live prop bets mid-game based on how the action unfolds? New to FanDuel? It's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. It's a great way to win lots of money, especially right now because of how much action there is right now in the NBA with the playoff games, and they are so hard to predict, which, by the way, I'm so frustrated with the Celtics still because of the fact that they are down 0-2. That's a conversation for another day, but you can bet on lots of different things with FanDuel, so make sure you head to it today and download the app because you could start winning lots of money. So the Boston Red Sox are in a place right now to where they have been inconsistent this season. They have been a 500 baseball team or hovering just over it or just under it. They really need to go on a big winning streak to bump up that record because they are lucky that to this point, the American League has not been very good overall, but that can only be sustainable for so long. Like if the Red Sox are 500 the entirety of the season, it might be difficult for them to make the playoffs. So they definitely need to go on a win streak, and somebody who could help them with getting on track there is Carlos Narvaez, who has been producing both offensively and defensively for the Red Sox this season. Now, coming into it, the Red Sox acquired him primarily for his defense. He was known to be very solid behind the plate, but wasn't as good of an offensive player. But so far for the Red Sox, he has been able to do both well. So when it comes to his offensive numbers, his batting average on the season right now is a 222. And in yesterday's game, versus the Rangers, he went 1 for 3 and drove in a run and drew a walk. He also had 2 strikeouts in the contest, but he's been able to contribute offensively. And I think that is fantastic. I apologize as I seem to have gotten a little bit of the hiccups, but Narvaez is not the best hitter on the team by any means. But that's okay because he is a catcher and the Red Sox do need other players to continue to step up offensively, like guys like Bregman and Abreu have been doing overall over the course of the season. But Narvaez is contributing in a lot of different ways. And when he's up there offensively, he's putting together some quality at bats and productive at bats. Like, for example, driving in a run in yesterday's game and recording an RBI. And nothing matters if your at bats are not quality ones and you're not making a positive impact. And when you look at Trevor Story and how much he's been struggling as of late, you look at Narvaez and you can't really say the same thing in regards to, is he going to get on base a lot? Probably not. But when he is up there, he's producing at bats that are making a difference and impacting the game in a positive way for Boston. And that to me is really key. So if you look at some of his numbers here for hitting, his barrel percentage is high. It's in the 72nd percentile, which is considered very good. Obviously, strength is his catching. Blocks above average is in the 97th percentile. And then for framing, he's in the 89th percentile. So obviously, we know that he's a good defensive catcher. Now, when you look at Connor Wong, who over the course of his career has struggled a little bit more defensively, he also hasn't been hitting that well since coming back from the injured list. So now you look at these two catchers and you say, okay, who's doing more? Who's providing more value? And with Narvaez, I'm definitely inclined to feel like he is, because not only is he giving us what we need defensively, but since he has emerged as a stronger offensive player, if I'm the Red Sox, thinking to myself, he might deserve more playing time. Maybe we should put him in the game more games than we're giving Connor Wong. And during this recent Red Sox homestand, each of them played 3 games. So the workload was split evenly. And I wonder if the Red Sox are starting to kind of feel out that situation and not having it be a definite conclusion that Connor Wong is the number 1 catcher and that he is going to get the majority of the playing time. Maybe the Red Sox feel like Narvaez deserves a shot to get more playing time because of the fact that he's been more productive lately. Every time Narvaez gets a hit, I'm like, all right, well, Connor Wong, look out, because going into the season, Connor Wong was for sure the number 1 starting catcher. Now that's becoming a little bit more unclear, because now you have Narvaez, who is going out there and is getting the job done, both from a catching standpoint and offensively doing what he can to make an impact and drive in runs. Connor Wong has not really been all there offensively. And he's also not as good of a defensive catcher. So be on the lookout for that. It will be interesting to see if the Red Sox decide to start playing Narvaez in more games and we see Wong as more of a backup catcher at that point. I definitely think it's possible. I'm not saying for sure it's going to happen, but I think it's possible based on the way that Narvaez has been playing and based on the fact that he has been able to contribute a lot more as of late than Connor Wong has. So we'll see what happens with that. But I do appreciate you tuning into Locked On Red Sox and making it your first listen today. And thank you for bearing with my hiccups there in the last segment here. Thank you for making Locked On Red Sox your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. The Game Night show is great because it really keeps you up to date on every game that took place that day. So make sure that you check that out on any podcast platform. Like I always say, keep the faith, go Red Sox, and I'll catch you on the flip side.